button as well. So hopefully it's recording as well. Um, James, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you introduce yourself, if you could do so first of all, please.
Graham. So my name is James Evans. I founded First Car out of my sixth form common room I had the idea in 2002, founded it in 2004. So we've been going almost 20 years. And in that time, we've produced a lot of young driver road safety resources. So things like the magazines that new drivers get when they pass their theory test, their driving test back in 2015. I co-produced the UK's first virtual reality road safety film with the Leicestershire Fire and Rescue Service. And we've gone on to produce a lot more of that type stuff, and we started Intelligent Instructor around that time as well, maybe 2016, which I think a lot of the viewers hopefully will be familiar with. So we've done a load of other stuff, but that's the most noteworthy, I suppose.
Okay. All right. Well, so those who don't know me, I'm Graham Hooper from Tri Coaching Partnership. I think a few people might know me amongst the forums. James, just give me a little bit of background about the honest truth prior to you taking it over, just how you got involved.
Yeah, sure. So Honest Truth started in 2009, and it was I think a lot of people will know, sort of very southwest focused campaign. Obviously, it's a national campaign, but sort of conceptualized down in the southwest. People like Ollie Taylor, Rob, Becca from Teignbridge Council down there. And it was in response to a severe road traffic collision. Sadly, some young people died, and this was the response. And the campaign had sort of two angles. One was very cleverly to utilize driving instructors as a route to market to convey road safety messages because of the exposure they've got to learners. And the other side was the use of animal heads on human bodies to kind of typify behavior traits within people that could then be linked back to road safety. And that, I can't remember when it actually became a charity, but they established a board of trustees. Annette Lloyd, who many people will know, got involved and was the chief executive. And that continued all the way to 2019 when the charity sadly ran out of funding. And I got involved, just to explain, I got probably involved a couple of years before that, maybe 2017, just through the work I do in road safety. And I certainly wasn't on the board, but I would sort of communicate with them pretty regularly with ideas and, just a bit of general counsel, I suppose.
Brilliant. So I suppose when and why did First Car, take it over?
Yeah, so First Car took it over late 2019, impeccable timing, as you can imagine with COVID. But the charity was very robust. I mean, they had a good board of trustees, and Annette Lloyd did a fantastic job of leading them. You had, unfortunately, Ollie and Rob, I think Rob retired. Ollie was sort of pulled back onto operational duties. Those that know Ollie, most people do, is an operational traffic sergeant. Rebecca, I think, from the council, was just pulled back into other things. And funding's hard to come by at the best of times. And irrespective of how good the idea, I think it's always difficult, particularly in a campaign that is national but has such local roots. And they just struggled to keep it going. They did some really good things. They engaged a lot of driving instructors. I think the number quoted was over 3,000 at one stage. They produced a very cool cartoon for primary school kids. And they had sort of a split focus, I suppose. And I'd sort of agreed to do some consultancy work looking at how the Honest Truth operated as a structure. So if someone was to receive the truth as a learner, what that would actually look like to them, what that would mean. And it was sort of in that time the charity ran out of money. So I was quite well positioned to kind of give it a home within First Car. I think, a bit nervous in the sense that if a charity can't make money, it's rarely going to be easier within a commercial organisation. But GEM Motoring Assist, so Neil Worth and Warwickshire Police and Crime Commissioner, they'd actually given a pledge to money when it was still within the charity, and they were happy for that to be passed across to First Car very kindly. So Annette came across, and I think the agreement was we would ring fence that funding for, I think it was going to last 7 or 8 months. And I said to Annette, right, we need to get this, sort of self-funding and sustainable within that period of time. Otherwise, we're going to have a hard time kind of funding your role. And unfortunately, due to COVID, that's kind of what happened. So Annette left us in the summer, and THT, just to bring you right up to date, is sort of absorbed into my job role.
Okay. All right. So with that, I mean, I'm going to ask you two questions in one because I think they're sort of linked. Because has anything changed since First Car took over the Honest Truth? And the next question at the same time, because I think they're going to come in together, are the animal heads still being used?
Good. Yeah, and I'm glad you did put those two questions together, because actually one of the first things that we did was move the animal heads relatively separate from the ADI campaign. So the original animal heads were a great concept, typifying sort of behaviors in relation to driving. The problem was that there was, from a behavioral change point of view and an academic point of view, there were some problems with them. So if you look at the dog in the original artwork, don't drink and drive, he's sort of having a cheers with a beer. And, when I looked at that, all I wanted to do was have a beer. It really didn't speak to me about the dangers. And actually the dogs weren't, the dog's head, as an example, wasn't off-putting, didn't show a negative behavior. I mean, I don't have one to put on screen now, but now we've got a sort of a drooling, ugly looking dog getting into a car, and there's people having a great time in the background. And I think the caption just says, don't end up in the doghouse. Most people don't drink and drive. Those who do risk losing their job, their mates, getting an unlimited fine, all this sort of stuff. Very succinct, very snappy. And it's sort of, we work with Ian Edwards to kind of reshape the campaign in relation to the heads. And that's available to road safety teams to license and use on digital media, outside media, big billboards, posters. And I think it sits really well as a campaign style intervention. What I think the jewel in THT's crown, and I will abbreviate Honest Truth to THT for sanity, is the ADI intervention. And that now sits within quite a defined structure. So if you become a THT ADI, you watch an onboarding film, you watch a training film, you go through a verification quiz, you receive in the post a car sticker, a truth pack, 50 truth cards. It's all very structured. And then we've given guidance then on how it should be delivered within lessons. I think in the past, Ollie would go and deliver an evening presentation, or some people did it locally to train the driving instructors. And then I think they were very much left to their own devices to go and deliver it. And I think one of the biggest things that I wanted to change was to give it a structure, not for the purposes of being rigid. Anyone who knows me knows that's absolutely opposite of what I'm about. But I think driving instructors have a lot to focus on, teaching the fundamentals of actual driving. Many want to deliver road safety and do deliver road safety. THT just makes it easier, provides the structure and the resources and the materials to do what they want to do much easier. And that's kind of what First Cars added to it, is perhaps a more of a commercial, non-road safety benefit in addition to the good road safety stuff.
Okay. Now, I don't mind if you repeat yourself with some of the stuff, because I sometimes think when messages go out, it's handy to take the message more than once. So there was a lot of information there. And I think if any ADIs were listening, deciphering some of that information immediately about packs and stuff and like what. So what are the benefits for ADIs getting involved?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. And yeah, apologies, it sort of just flows out sometimes. I mean, for a driving instructor, there's sort of business benefits, I would describe. So a differentiator. So you can put, we've got an ADI video, a video for learners, which ADIs can put on their website that says, I'm an Honest Truth instructor. Really showcases the status of an ADI that has invested, in a national program that goes over and above in terms of delivering road safety. And obviously, from the learner's point of view, that's they want to get through their test, but they also want to retain their license. So they don't want to get more than 6 points in the first couple of years. That's one mobile phone offence, or that's a speeding fine within 3 months, and then another 21 months of driving on the edge of your seat because you think that could be it. Having a prang. So a lot of road safety focuses on the very catastrophic effects of bad driving, when actually it's relatively rare, and young people know it. Far more likely to prang the car, not be able to afford to repair it, and at worst that could mean the vehicle's off the road. So AGIs have now got an angle to push other benefits to the learners. So yeah, there's that, obviously the CPD element. So obviously, nothing like what you offer through Try Coaching, but we do quarterly webinars where people can exchange knowledge and ideas and best practice. Obviously, there's the training. We talk about when to deliver the truth, how to overcome objections, behavioral change techniques and getting messages across. So there's a lot of benefits from a CPD and an enrichment point of view for driving instructors. But as I've just said, the main thing for me is ADIs want to deliver road safety in addition to getting people through their test. And this provides a structure and a framework that makes it really, really straightforward.
Okay, I just think that never worked with kids and animals, James.
Oh, was that Harry screaming in the background?
No, it's absolutely fine, mate. It's just making me smile.
Yeah, it's an open plan.
Yeah. I want to ask the sort of $1 million question before I ask the really good question, because I know what ADIs are like. So I'm going to ask you this one. How much is it going to cost me as an ADI?
Yeah, good question. So originally, THT had 3 pricing levels. So there was a bronze, a silver, and a gold. And I think the bronze was 36 quid a year. It was everything you needed, the truth pack, which the truth pack is the fundamental. It's the thing that you use in the car to show the learner, for the learner to read about each of the 10 truths. So you need that. You need your car sticker to show that you're approved, all these. And then the silver thing bolted on some magazines. And then was a gold pack where you got 50 young drivers guides, 50 parent guides, the video. And I did away with the 2 lower levels because actually, first car, we do a lot, but we are 3 people and we have to be careful to not take on too much administration. So we've made it 98 quid now for the year. And, you get what I would consider to be good value for that in terms of materials and resources. But we appreciate that driving instructors, particularly at the moment, I think driving instructors are undervalued and underpaid at the best of times. You would think nothing of spending 50 quid an hour on a sports massage or more if it was some special treatment. Yet for something like learning to drive, I think is massively downvalued. But I do think this adds more than 100 quid's worth of additional value to the ADI in terms of marketing, website, referrals, certainly the magazines, 50 parent guides, parents talk, 50 young drivers guides, staple your business card to the top day talks. There's a marketing element as well. What I am really pushing, and we're very well connected with a lot of road safety teams, fire services, PCCs. I'm trying to push for road safety teams to fund driving instructors en masse. So even in Somerset PCC have just paid.
Okay, so let me just pause you here because I'm only going to pause you so that we can make the point, because this point that you're going to make, I want driving instructors to know that there is a possibility that they could get funding. So even though you're going off that route, I want to make the point that, they need to ask you, is there a chance of getting funding in their area? It's going to vary. It's not going to be equal across the country. So tell us a bit about this funding stuff, James.
Yeah, so historically, THT did have funding from local authorities. They had it from the RAF, they had it from fire services to come in and deliver these presentations to driving instructors. The good thing in the old days was that there wasn't much of an capital cost. Ollie went out, delivered a presentation, they took a bit of money, and bang, that was done. But I have doubts about whether 3 months down the line, if you spoke to a learner, what they'd received in terms of the truth, I bet would vary enormously from from region to region. So this obviously providing a structure costs money, in the long term. So obviously we wanted to re-engage with the partnerships and people that had funded before. So this time we're basically saying, will you cover the cost of this 100 quid a year for ADIs? As I said, Avon and Somerset PCC have just funded 30, Warwickshire PCC have funded 75. I think Essex are in the latter stages of signing off 75. Staffs have got 25, and they're just running that as a pilot. They'll scale. And I do genuinely believe that driving instructors are the best route to market. Road safety teams aren't using. So there is funding there. We produce film. We sell magazines and resources and campaigns to road safety teams. We work very closely with them. The one thing I'm not going to do, and I want to stress that today, is just go nuts on it and try and take on 2,000. I don't want a vanity number of driving instructors. A nice problem to have, but I said we're a company of 3 people. I want to be able to offer quite a bespoke personal service. So we're going to try and recruit 250 a year, and over 10 years, 2,500 instructors. That's 100,000 at least learners coming through having received THT. That's probably one per friendship group from some social norms, positive, messaging, behavioural type thing. That sort of ticks that box. And I always work on the rule of fifths a little bit in life. You've got 1/5 of people will love you, doesn't matter what you do. 1/5 of people are going to hate you, no matter what you do. And there's sort of 60% in the middle you can win over depending on how you perform. And 2,500 instructor is probably, I don't know, what, 20% of the active market.
Yeah, I mean, and also, well, really, I believe really achievable, James. I mean, if this is well received tonight, we're out to potentially over 10,000, emailing to potentially 20,000. You might hit your 250 before the end of next week, but I'm always an optimist.
Same, and actually I did 2 webinars last week, and I've done a discount code on the website, which is just THT webinar, all one word, and that gives you 20% off. So anyone that sort of sees us on a webinar and is given time to watch this with you, Graham, and invest time in sort of finding out what's out there, least I can do is not whatever that is, 20 quid off. So
fantastic, because I mean there was a question, how do we measure success? But I'm not sure what's the answer to that.
But in terms of success of my strategy of recruiting ADIs, I mean the numbers will just bear themselves out. And obviously when we get to a stage where we've got a critical mass, so maybe in a couple of years time we've got 500, 750 ADIs, it will become easier for us to populate that map of find a driving instructor, a THT instructor near me, so we can market more effectively and encourage pre-learners to choose instructors who have, are Honest Truth registered. And on the other end of it is negotiate discounts for Honest Truth graduates. So people that have come through, they've submitted their truth card, which inevitably we'll talk about in a second, because that's a key measure of success. Yeah. And they'll get lifestyle benefits, whether it's a free coffee every month from Costa or something more motoring related, to thank them for kind of going through the process of the 10 truths with their ADI. But that's all chicken and egg with numbers. We need, First Card's very well placed to have these conversations with commercial partners, but they will not be interested with a throughput of less than 10, 20, 30, even 40,000 to make it worth their while.
All right, so brilliant. Well, you mentioned this, so I'm going to ask, this is going to be the next question. Tell me about the truth cards and some of the truths they focus on. And I suppose I'll put in another question with that, because I think it's relative. The fatal 4 or the fatal 5, whatever you want to call them, if you put that all into one answer, James.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, rather handily, what I've got next to me, this is what you'll get in the post. So you get your 50 parent guides, your 50
brown envelopes. They scare everyone.
I know. Yeah, I've got a white one here just for the sake of variety. So we'll open that one. Me running around WH Smith today because I've run out. So basically, you open your pack up, and you've got your car sticker, which we will probably change every year. We'll do a different design because it's good to peel one off and put another one on. It's the same format. You've got your truth pack. Now this will change every year. So for environmental reasons, I know deep down I want to wire bound it and I want to make it really thick stock. These will probably change with best practice, with new case studies. I know it's a transient audience, but our learnings and our research about how to deliver this better will change every year, which is why instructors need to re-verify every year, watch the training again, and these will be sent every year, which is why they're only designed to last a year. At the beginning is some information for instructors building on the training videos that they'll have seen about how to deliver it, and then you'll have a DPS. So I'm going to come.
Say that slowly. DDS. What was it?
This is a double-page spread for those not in the publishing industry. So I know this is backwards, but you've basically got, this is fatigue, so tiredness. You've got a little bit to read here. You've got some pull-out points. You've got a bit about the law, and you've got a case study. And there's one of these for each of the 10 truths, seatbelts. What we haven't done yet, and it's a good reason again to change them every year, is the animal heads now have changed, so they need to be updated. What you would do at the start of the lesson, you would say to the learner, got to just get a bit of planning done for your next couple of hours or your session. Just read this for a second. Or if it's one of the fatal 4 things, so distractions, seatbelts, speed, drink, drug driving, You've got a video option, so you can give them your smartphone or you can give them your tablet. They read it, takes 90 seconds, and then that is the frame for the discussion points in the rest of the lesson. So they've read something about vulnerable road users, may give them 10 minutes just to digest, and then say, oh, ever cycled? Ever got a bike? Take a bike out, a scooter or anything like that? Yeah, I'd cycle around. Wear a helmet? Well, yeah, sometimes. And how do you feel when people overtake you too closely? And then a bit later, oh, there's a cyclist over there. How do you think he might feel if we pass them too close? So you've got that. Additionally, you've got My Car, My Rules.
Oh yeah, I like that.
So this is basically Ollie Taylor pulled over a girl in Plymouth.
I mean, James, I just like the one where it says no smelly farts.
Yeah. Yeah, absolute must. So yeah, and this is the girl that he pulled over for something. I might have been having your fog lights on, we didn't either. But anyway, she had this list of rules on her dash and he loved it. So we started this My Car, My Rules card, and people can write, chuck in petrol money, don't distract the driver, no chips in, no chips on the seats, and all this sort of stuff. And they're really good fun. It's a bit of light-hearted entertainment, but it has got that sort of, this is my car. I am responsible for it, and I'm responsible for you, and you do what I say. But this is what we're getting to, which is the truth card. So this is the coffee shop loyalty card style. Each of these watermarks there represents one of the 10 truths. The idea is that you sign it off as a driving instructor when you've had that conversation. They've read the truth pack, and you've had. And this is covered in the training, but it doesn't even have to be 5 minutes, just maybe 2 or 3 minutes of discussion about it, enough that that they are aware of it. And when we talk about behavioral change, which anyone that's studied with you, Graham, will know things like the trans-theoretical model of change. You don't have to get people to have an epiphany. All you've got to do is move them from a stage of thinking, I don't have a problem with this, to, or maybe I need to consider my behavior, or I need to consider my behavior, to an actual coping strategy or a planning or an action phase of doing something about it. And then on the back, when they've completed it, you fill your ADI number in here, they fill their name in there, go online, upload it at /honesttruth.co.uk/truth. We don't ask for them to photograph it and send it in. Instead, we say, hold on to it. And if you win one of the prizes that we give away, Amazon vouchers every few weeks, we will ask you for a photograph of it. So again, it gets them to retain it. Cool. And every time they look back at it, they hopefully remember the things that you've told them. So, a lot of people say, why don't you do this digitally? I mean, we produce 2 million magazines a year. I'm a big fan of print. Digital is invisible until you've sorted it out. Print is present until you've thrown it away.
Yeah,
and we know it works. So sorry, long-winded answer, but basically we'll measure success off the back of these. When we get someone in, they'll go into an email cascade. After a week's time, we'll send them an email, double the chances of winning the prize if you complete the survey. A month later, same thing. 3 months later, same thing. See what knowledge they've retained, what self-declared attitude and behavioural intent they've taken away through THT. And
so you're looking through. What you're doing is you're taking it not from action, but there's some maintenance there. Yeah. So we've gone through the pre-contemplation, the contemplation, the planning, the action, and now we're looking at, can we maintain this behaviour by staying in touch? And that, in some respects, that answers my question: is there a process of reflection and evaluation? And so, brilliant. There obviously is. There's something that always bothers me, James, and because I don't think it really happens. Is there an avenue for road safety officers and ADIs to liaise about road safety? Because you're there liaising with road safety officers. You're there liaising with me, a driving instructor, but we're not all joint. We're not joined up. And is there an avenue somewhere to join that up, really? Because if they're funding it, maybe they want to be speaking to the ADIs that they're funding. I don't know.
You're absolutely right. And in areas where we've got that buy-in, we absolutely will be connecting the road safety teams with the driving instructors. And when we have our quarterly webinars, we'll probably have a national one. And then we'll try and have local ones as well, even if it's one, every 6 months or something, so that they, have an open dialogue, not even about, honest truth is the reason for meeting, but hopefully the narrative and the agenda will stray onto other interventions that they've got, getting advice from. I mean, so many things that people ask me that I'd say, well, you'd be better asking a driving instructor, and you can tell that perhaps I'm on the Rolodex or you're on the Rolodex, Graham, but they haven't got that connection. So I mean, yeah, a lot of people will know about things, Safe Drive, Stay Alive, Learn to Live style events. We started the Road Safety Performances Forum a few years ago. I used to buy the lunch and people would come down and talk about what works in Kent, what works in, Lancashire, and compare ideas. And now that's led to big national research projects to try and sort of standardize and do what more of what works and less of what doesn't. And I think it is a lot about what you've said. It's providing the forums for people to talk, and there just isn't a natural one for road safety teams and ADIs unless perhaps they have, not enforcement but indoors style things, and then
Yeah.
they tend not to be the ADIs that do a lot of learner stuff anyway. They may be more fleet, maybe more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think it is that, just that communication, the ability to talk, because ADIs are at the coal face, they're out there digging the coal, and the road safety officers haven't got that experience of digging the coal. So they might come up with great ideas, and the ADIs go, "That's not workable." Well, if you talk to each other, there might be a compromise, and everyone goes, "Ah, that's the solution."
yeah. You're absolutely right. I'll give you an example. So the magazines, the DVSA magazines, the research came back. We do a reader survey. We give away a car every year. And one thing really jumped out at me, which was about 40% of young drivers use Google Maps on their phone as their sat nav. Nothing wrong with that. Very good. Even if they've got routes they know well, they'll use it for traffic. Yet we've seen DFT and other places putting out repeated messaging about, putting your phone in the glove box. And I've said for years, that's poor messaging because people won't do it. And the reason they won't do it is they're legitimately using their phone for other things. Yet phones have safe driving modes on Apple and Android, which silence notifications, turn off all the bad stuff, and actually message people calling and texting in to say, I'm driving now, can't talk, which is such a positive social norm to be conveying. And it's only through asking the questions and having access to that data that we're perhaps being able to change the narrative now. So I'm not an academic by any stretch
It's
of the
unrealistic,
imagination.
isn't it, to ask people not to use their mobile phones if they've been designed to be used. It's not going to happen. Look, James, I'm conscious of time. I've got one more question for you, okay, and then we'll wrap it up. Look, and I know you've been through everything, and I'm buying it, yeah. So, but if you were an ADI, what are the reasons that you would use the honest truth?
Well, if me personally, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm going to want to charge as much as I can an hour, have my diary as full as I possibly can be, and still, be down the pub by 5:30. I'm going to want to do, as little admin and everything as I possibly can, and with as big a differentiator. So I would be using all the marketing on the website. I'd be giving out the magazines. I mean, you can top up. I can buy extra magazines. Give them out to the learner. Give this to your mates who are starting to learn. Give it to the parents. Give them to the parents of people that are starting to learn. Pigeonhole yourself as an ADI that goes over and above, which I'm sure most people do anyway. You don't need to do THD to do that. I'll stress that. But it's just one avenue. And again, they always say, give a lazy person a tough problem. I love problem solving because, we try and do things as efficiently as possible. And this provides a framework, with the truth cards, exactly where everyone is. Have them in the car, names on the back. You're in there, right? Next one here. Give them a truth pack. 2 minutes out of the lesson, not affecting their drive time at all. So it is the most seamless way to integrate road safety into my driving lessons if I was a driving instructor, with doing as little work as possible and reaping the maximum benefit from all the marketing and differentiators. That would be my thing, but
because I'm sitting here going, yeah, I'm a lazy so and so as well. That just that works for me. I mean, for me, it's about it would add value for money. If I've got an ADI next door, and funny enough, an ADI does live next door to me, I want to add more value than him, so that I can say I'm adding more value. I think in terms of stimulating coaching, your product stimulates coaching conversations. I get a lot of ADIs saying, "Oh, I struggle to initiate these post-test scenario conversations," and I'm thinking this product does it, yeah. And I know that the young drivers will buy into it because it's going to be real. It's going to be what's happening to them in their post-test, not pre-test, post-test, and it's all about teaching people to drive in a post-test situation before they take their driving test, so they're prepared. And I think your product starts to do that for us. So, James, I'm going to thank you for your time. Hope everyone enjoyed it. I'm going to take us out of the recording, so we're going to wave goodbye. I'll see if I can wave goodbye.
Thank you very much,
I'm
everyone.
stopping